Welcome back to the Daily Thunder podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Woods. I'm here, as always, with Daily Thunder beat writer Brandon Rabar. Brandon, how are you?
I'm good, man. I am good. We are in the thick of Thunder season now. 3 games in.
3 games in. Oklahoma City started the year off with a loss at Minnesota, and then a loss at Denver, and then a loss at home, a home opener to the Timberwolves. So Timberwolves twice. I feel like that's a team that's kind of had Oklahoma City's number in a big way the last couple years. Not sure what it is about that matchup, but Minnesota tends to blow the doors off. These two games in the last few days were a little closer, but something to watch because that's a divisional opponent. We see them a lot, but Minnesota the last couple of years, it feels like they tend to boat race this team. They're obviously teams in very different places, but also a loss in there to Denver on the road. That one felt, I don't know about you, that one felt very winnable there down the stretch. We're going to talk about all of them. But what are your overall takeaways from the first few days of the regular season?
So, first of all, I think that the reason that the Timberwolves kind of have had the Thunder's number lately is just because they had Andrew Wiggins. Now that they don't have Wiggins anymore, I don't think the Thunder really have as much to worry about them going forward. I actually thought that these games were much easier, even though they have like 4 all-star level players now. They didn't have Wiggins, so I felt like the Thunder might steal those games. No, that Denver game was I think both of those first 2 games were really impressive showings from the Thunder because, look, both of those teams, whether we like to believe it or not, they fancy themselves as title contenders, and the fans of those teams fancied themselves title contenders. Those were both the home openers for both of those teams, and so those fans, felt like they were watching a title team, and they're just kind of automatically checking win in the box because, the Oklahoma City Wembanyama's are coming through town. And so they just assume that they're going to get a team that's going to roll over. But if you've been watching this Oklahoma City Thunder team over the past few years, while yes, they've been, I shouldn't say few, I should say last 2 years, because this is just year 3 of a rebuild, 2 years and 3 games now. You know that this team is competitive, that they fight no matter how big a deficit they get into, they're going to claw their way back in. And that's what they did those first 2 games, really the third game too. But the Thunder were, without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and then without Josh Giddey for the last quarter and a half. But those first 2 games, both of them were 1 or 2 possession games pretty much the entire fourth quarter and could have gone either way, really. And I think it just goes to show, the talent of SGA and Josh Giddey because those 2 guys led the team against those teams. And, the all-in approach to this team and with Martin Daigneault and his schemes and effort and energy and IQ and hustle and all those kind of things that the Thunder are being built upon now.
Let's go to Dort. We've seen a lot of Dort over the last 3 games, specifically from behind the 3-point line, and it hasn't been pretty. Are you like just a temperature check for you for Lou Dort?
Yeah, Lou is Lou. Like I'm not. It's such a small sample size, whereas we have a much bigger sample size from the previous 2 years, and he settled in as around a 34% shooter from 3-point range, and he'll have streaks where he'll go 5 of 7 in a game, or he'll go 1 of 7 in a game. I think that he'll eventually settle into that 34%. I would say ideally, the ball's not going to be in his hands as much. Now, that kind of changed with SGA out last game. But, when everybody's healthy and you have SGA, Josh Giddey, and J-Dub, and then, those 3 guys goes out. But when they're all healthy, Lou Dort's going to handle the ball more. It's going to be him and Trey Mann kind of running the show. So I think you kind of saw some of that. I'm not really worried about his shooting. I wish that he would take probably less of them. and focus more on the corner threes because he's really effective there in the catch and shoot threes. But I'm not going to worry too much over a 3-game sample size. His efficiency at the rim has improved each of the last couple of years, and his 3-point shooting is kind of what it is now.
The other things he's doing on the floor don't match what he's doing from behind the 3-point line. Like everything else he does, you tend to be encouraged by, like stuff in transition, defensively, especially defense in transition. I like what he's doing. He looks like the guy we've seen. Shots aren't falling. He's taking a lot of them, like you're saying. Some that there are some that they find him kind of hot potato at the end of a shot clock. Can't really avoid those, right? It's tough to eat it at the end of the clock. Like you just have to put it up. But there are some early in the clock. He's got a couple more passes in the circuit that he could make. But he puts it up. So yeah, I'm with you. I'd like to see it go up a little less. But overall, not too down on Dort. I am kind of down on the shot, but everything else looks fine. Injury wise, this team is kind of already taking a bit of a hit. And that's with SGA. It was listed, a hip contusion, what was that?
Yeah, a hip contusion. He landed hard on his hip Saturday night against the Nuggets, and he was a game time decision basically in the home opener versus the Wolves.
Yeah.
He warmed up pregame, ended up not playing. Now, what's interesting is he's listed as out already for the Clippers game on Tuesday night. By the time that you're listening to this, it'll probably be Tuesday. Those things can change sometimes. We've seen it where a guy's been listed out and then, he feels better. Maybe SGA ends up playing. I don't think this is a tanking move. I think, J-Dub looks like he went 12 rounds with Creed. Against the Clippers this early in the season, and I just don't think I think he's legitimately hurt, and they're being cautious. If it was like the playoffs game 6 or 7, would he play? Probably, yeah, I'm sure. But, they're going to be cautious with the injuries. I'll say that. But I do think that they're all legitimate injuries for sure.
And the other Giddey with an ankle sprain, I doubt it's another one they'll probably take their time with. Not sure the severity of it. I don't think we've heard them speak on Giddey's ankle yet. Maybe we probably hear from Dagnall tomorrow, possibly on an update on him. But J-Dub, it sounds like 7 to 10 days. That's from the time of the injury. So we may see him into the week, probably an update on him, and could be seeing masked J-Dub, which could be fun.
Yeah. Giddey, I could visibly see he was hobbled in that third quarter. Like when it happened, I was like, he's hurt. And he tried to play through it, but he was running so gingerly. So that one's not a surprise at all. Yeah, J-Dub, I think we're absolutely going to see mass J-Dub, and that's going to be kind of fun. It's always fun. The Thunder have a long history of mass players, from Russell Westbrook to Deontay Burton to Lou Dort, and they all seem to kind of, excel when they have the mask on. And so I'm excited to see J-Dub. He's never missed a shot in his NBA career. It's 100%. He's 2 for 2. So how great is he going to be with a mask?
I knew you were going to mention that.
You've got to. I think that all of us are a little bit bummed right now. Like, if you look at the injuries as a whole, it's a huge bummer, because if you were to poll like every Thunder fan and say, like, who are the top 4 players you're most excited to see this upcoming season, I would not be surprised if the top 4 vote getters were SGA, Chet Holmgren, Josh Giddey, and Jalen Williams. And those 4 are all out with injury right now.
Right. I will say, as far as positives go, I would start the positives category with Trey Mann.
Yes.
He's doing all the things he did last year as far as like shot making, shot creation, but it just looks so much better. Looks so much more in the flow of things. His defense, especially off ball, much better. The way he's moving around screens is a lot better. He looks, I think credit to the weight he's put on, the muscle he's put on. It's really helping him on the defensive end. He's holding his own a lot better. The handle is just outrageous. His ability to create space is, I mean, it's incredible. So that's all very exciting. The shot, they're not going. I mean, he's making plenty, but I think it could go even higher. Like all the shots seem to be open. You know what I mean? He doesn't take a lot of contested looks based on how good he is at creating space. Most of his shots would be deemed open. And I think that percentage, hopefully, is only going to go up.
Yeah, what's exciting about Trey is his finishing at the rim. Like he's taken it to the rim quite a bit, and he's finishing so well. He's such a dual threat between driving and his 3-point shot, and you have to respect the drive. The more successful he is at driving, the more you have to respect that, and then he's able to get that separation because you have to bite on the drive, and then he's got that step back. Like you said, he doesn't really take contested shots because he creates so much separation and space. I'm not worried about the shots dropping at all. I know that Trey Mann can shoot. I know he's a great shooter. Those are going to drop. All the ones that he took against the T-Wolves in the home opener were good looks. And, if 2 of those fall, his percentage looks much, much better. I'm very encouraged, though, by Trey Mann and the way he's playing. And it just goes back to what Mark Daigneault said. He kind of singled him out as the guy that had the best summer. He said all of them had great summers, but basically, especially Trey Mann. And I think we're seeing that both physically and in his style of play, his confidence, all those things. And once that shot starts dropping, like it did in preseason, obviously he's not going to shoot 55% from 3. But if he's creeping up, flirting with 40% from 3 and then driving like he's driving, I mean, he can be a really, really nice offensive punch for this Thunder team that needs another scoring threat besides Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Where else would you go positives?
Yeah, I mean, this sounds funny to say, but right now I'd say Eugene Omoruyi. Eugene, I mean, he's a two-way player, and everybody was so confused why the Thunder were signing in the middle of a rebuild a 25-year-old bruiser. But I see it now. Like, you watch him play, I'm like, the dude can play. Like, he bangs down low. He looks like a linebacker, but he can really, really play. So that's possible. But I had to mention him. But if I were to choose like another real positive, like looking towards the future and all those things, Ousmane Dieng, honestly, really impressed with how he's played so far. The numbers don't pop as far as scoring goes, but if you watch his defense, if you watch the way he's playing, if you watch, the rebounds, the block shots, the playmaking, and his offensive numbers aren't popping just because he's not really taking that many shots. But his mechanics, his shooting, he looks the part. We've talked about this in our chat. We cannot get over how fluid he is at his size. Mm-hmm. Like he doesn't look like he's as huge as he is because of the way he moves. And obviously I'm not comparing to Victor Wembanyama, but the thing that makes Victor Wembanyama so freaky deaky is being 7'4" and to be able to move like he moves. Well, Ousmane Dieng is a legitimate 6'10". He might be 6'10 and a half. And he moves like a guard too. Like he should not be moving the way he moves. I'm just really impressed. I think that we all thought, raw project going to take a couple years. And yeah, he's nowhere where he's going to be or where he needs to be. But I think he's much, much further along and less raw than everybody thought he was coming in.
A couple block shots last night, and then like he just seems to love playing with the ball. Like he's so comfortable as a ball handler and taking it and going in transition. He had a play last night where he takes a rebound and it turns into like this no look pass to Poku in the corner in transition. The shot didn't fall, but just a lot of stuff to be excited about with him. Like he's still in his infant stage, getting comfortable out there. And I think the sky's the limit. If he's already doing this type of stuff and willing to, and this is the kind of stuff that typically you would have to pry out of rookies, like especially rookies that didn't go like super high. I mean, he did go in the lottery, but like this guy's like really assertive and fluid, like you're saying, like the ball handling and transition, his speed. He wants to get up and go, and I know Dagnall probably loves that from him, from his size. We've seen it with guys like Baisley in the past. Like they love guys at that size that can just take a rebound and take off with it. And he's fit that, but I think there's potential for him to do like more things in those scenarios than guys we've seen in the past. He's so skilled, and the shot does look like the mechanics. They do look really good, even better than we saw in summer league. I was kind of down on his shot in summer league, but through the preseason up till now, it's better than I remembered it being in summer league, and it's more to what I thought it would be pre-draft, because the stuff, when you see him in workouts, it's just it's automatic. So I'm very, very excited about him, and a good positive to mention, because he's been really, really solid. The passing is what I did not expect, and I guess that comes like right from his background of being a guard before he hit his growth spurt.
Yeah, he was a point guard. I mean, the Thunder have been scouting him since basically he was 13 years old as a guard, and then he has this huge growth spurt, and he's retained those guard skills and those guard moves, but he's doing it in like a 6'10" and a half inch body. It's exciting to see Ousmane. Look, regardless of what everyone thought of the pick, whether he was a raw project or things like that, the Cavs very much wanted to trade up to number 11 with the Knicks to draft Ousmane Dieng. And the Cavs have been, nailing their drafts lately. And they were in a bidding war with the Thunder. And then the Pelicans, had Dyson Daniels not fallen, all the Pelicans beat reporters and then some national reporters say that the Pelicans very much were looking at drafting Ousmane Dieng at number 8. They're also a front office that's been very smart and savvy lately. So you got 3 front offices that all saw Ousmane Dieng as a guy that they want to take anywhere between 8 and 11. And I think you see why now. All the big question marks draft night from, Stephen A. Smith and Spike Lee, like putting their hands in their faces in their hands, and they thought the Knicks were drafting him, to the boos and things like that from Knicks fans. Look, there's a reason why all these front offices are so high on him. You just don't normally see those kind of skills and fluidity in that kind of body. Like you just don't see it. And I think it's funny because he played in a real grown man league and played really, really well the second half of the season. And it was playmaking, shot making, defense, all those things that we're seeing. But everybody still considered him like this raw project that was going to need years. And you look back like, well, I mean, he kind of dominated the second half of his NBL season. Why do we think he was that raw? Like, he is not Poku raw when Poku came in whatsoever.
I will say we talked about it post draft, like kind of thought he would be the guy that spent most of the year with the blue. And it doesn't feel like that anymore. I don't know how you feel, but it seems like this guy's going to be in the rotation for the foreseeable future.
Well, right now, a third of the roster is hurt, so he's definitely going to be in the rotation. But no, I think that, yeah, absolutely. I think that injuries are not full health with this roster or not. I think that Ousmane Dieng is going to be a regular in the rotation. Now, will he eventually maybe see some G League time just to get him some extra minutes? Because they did that with a lot of young guys over the last couple of years. Just, hey, send him to the G League for a day, call him back up tonight. He might get some of that just so he gets more development minutes. But I think that he's going to have a real rotation role on this team throughout his whole rookie season.
Saw a little bit of Jay Will last night. And saw him out there with Isaiah Joe, former college teammate. Like, it's very interesting. These guys at the end of the bench, they're coming in late second half. Are you more or less excited about Isaiah Joe?
No, I would rather have Isaiah Joe than any of the players that the Rockets sent to the Thunder in that trade.
Sure.
He's younger. He still does have some upside. He's a shooter. He's got, potential defensively. Look, if you go and look at Philadelphia 76ers blogs and beat reporters and things like that, they all really, really liked Isaiah Joe. Fans and the reporters, they think that he had a lot of potential and promise. The 76ers just didn't have any room for him, and they want to win right now. So they're not going to give many minutes to a 23-year-old prospect. But he's perfect for the Thunder, and, he'll get minutes here and there. Do I think that he's eventually going to become a core player or anything like that? No, but he's worth, a dice roll as your 15th guy rather than, a 30-year-old who's got zero future with this rebuilding team. Isaiah Joe at least has some NBA skills, definitely is shooting, and the youth to take the dice roll on.
Another positive I meant to mention earlier was just Giddey's he's just getting in the lane and getting by guys. The acceleration is there. Obviously, we're going to have to see that come back after the ankle injury, but his ability to get to the rim, I've been very encouraged by through for the first 3 games.
Yeah, that's something that I think every Thunder fan and reporter was hoping to see this season. And so far we're seeing it. Obviously the 3-point shot is what everybody wants to see improve. And I think that will, incrementally improve every season. I think he's going to become a better 3-point shooter, but his finishing, he needs to be able to score efficiently in some sort of way. His passing already elite tier, rebounding for his position already, up there, very, very good. And his IQ, his effort, all those things. But end of the day, he needs to be able to score efficiently as well. And I think that finishing at the rim is the way for him to do it as he improves his jump shot. And so, yeah, you've got to be encouraged with how much better he's taking it to the rim and finishing at the rim. It's really, really huge for his development.
We've seen 3 starting lineups in 3 games. Or you think we'll see kind of a revolving door in the front court as the year goes on, or do you think are they feeling out a couple different guys to see who sticks, or is this just going to be matchup based and who's got the hot hand at a certain time?
Oh yeah, it's going to be fluid all season. I think there's only 3 guys that you can pencil in to be starters every night, and that's obviously SGA, Giddey, and Lou Dort. I think that the 4 and the 5, any given night, it could be matchup based. It could be, hey, who was better in practice this morning, or hey, you didn't play last game, you did. It could be any number of those things, or hey, we just want to see how this lineup works, what the chemistry is like with the other 3 guys. Martin Daigneault said a couple of weeks ago while we were still in preseason that the 5 position was going to be fluid all season long. He tipped his hat there already. Well, he didn't tip his hat. He just straight out told us, it's going to change every night, and the starting lineup's going to change every night. But I think that we all assumed that JRE was penciled in as a starter as well at the 4/5, and then the other 4/5 would be, different every night. But I think that now we can say that the 4 and the 5, any given night, could be any combo of JRE, Kenrich, Muscala, Baisley, Poku. Just pick 2 names out of the hat. You might be right any given night.
Daigneault, he mentioned Poku straight out. He wanted him. He needed him to be more physical. I've been mildly encouraged by Poku, but I'm kind of cautiously optimistic. How do you feel?
Yeah, the first 3 quarters of the opener, he was really good. Mm-hmm. I tweeted because it was true. Statistically, eye test, all those things, through 3 quarters, he was better that night than Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards. He was the Thunder's best or second best to SGA player through 3 quarters as well. Now, those last 2 minutes of that game, went downhill fast. It's kind of the Poku experience. We saw the good, then we saw the bad those last couple minutes. But he's not used to being in that position, crunch time, pressure. all those things on the road. And then, game 2, Mark Daigneault did say he wanted to be more physical. Game 3 kind of had ups and downs. He didn't really do too much, didn't play that many minutes. But I think overall, if you look at Poku, the trajectory, the improvement, the weight gain, all those things, he's where you would want him to be. Is he better than he was year 1? Absolutely. Like his court awareness, his scoring efficiency, all those things I think are improving. It's such a small sample size. You can't really take what he's done so far this season. I don't think. I think if you just look at him and watch him, before he would get the ball and it would kind of feel like deer in headlights. He would just kind of auto shoot, when you're playing pickup and there's those guys that not quite sure what to do with the ball. So they just kind of shoot it as a default. He's not like that anymore. He's usually making the right plays on offense. I think that you have to be satisfied with where Poku is right now. I don't know where the end game is with Poku, but I think that you have to be happy with his development so far.
All right, we got the rest of the week. Clippers back-to-back games tomorrow. I don't want to get this wrong. 1 second. Tomorrow against the Clippers at home, and then the Clippers at home again on Thursday. Both are 7 a.m. local start, or at 7 p.m. local starts. That'd be an early start, Brandon. I don't think you're up that early.
No, I'd have to DVR those things.
and then at Dallas on Saturday. Again, the difficult schedule to start. We're right in the brunt of it. Clippers, Mavericks this week, and then November 1st, that is Orlando. That's next Tuesday. So you will hear from us over those next 3 games: Clippers, Mavs next week. Then they play Tuesday. You'll hear from us before that one. Orlando on Tuesday, Nuggets on Wednesday, Bucks on Friday. So next 6, very tough. Orlando, you'd probably look at as as one that could be a pretty competitive game, especially with Paolo coming in. That's an interesting game. Oh, we did talk about that one in our I think it was our last show that TNT probably wished they could flex out of that game. Well, they did. Unfortunately, that game will no longer be a national TV game. Obviously, Chet is the main reason that game was propped up by number 1 versus number 2. But it is kind of a bummer, I will say, just from a big picture standpoint, that like the league should be marketing Paolo no matter what. Like that should be a featured game. He should be someone that they're pushing constantly. He's so good. And Oklahoma City has a player that's better in Shea. Like
right.
It is a team that is young and talented. There's no reason that game still can't be on national TV, especially with the number 1 pick coming in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you got Paolo on one side, as well as been playing, he's the number 1 pick, and then you got SGA and Josh Giddey, who, he's an up-and-coming player as well. You can still market this as, 2 young teams of the future squaring off. But, if they didn't have 1 and 2, they weren't going to do it. It's a bummer, but they're a loss, right? We'll probably just have – they're just going to play another Lakers game.
I was just about to say, given how many times we're going to have to sit through Laker primetime games this year, there's no reason that we couldn't still get Magic Thunder on TNT that night.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny when you look at like NBA social media and kind of all the talking heads and things like that. There's so much discourse about the Lakers, and it just goes back to it's that way because of the Lakers and because they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook. But, if you play a game that's got Paolo Banchero on it everybody's going to be talking about that night as well. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you don't really need to watch the Lakers discourse for another night when you can watch a hot up and coming player. Like, whatever you play, people are going to talk about. I just don't get it.
The Lakers audience isn't going anywhere. Like, they're going to be watching no matter where you put the game.
I mean, I say that, but like if like Bleacher Report or ESPN, like while Alex Caruso was a Laker, if they put out like anything that he did, it would get like 10,000, retweets or something like that. And then probably if you put Paolo, the same thing, put out a tweet of him dunking or something, probably get like half that. So, I guess I get it. I don't like it, but I guess I get it.
All right. We'll wrap it there. Brandon, thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week. 3 games to cover, and we'll be watching. We'll be talking to you in a week. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Have a good night, Ryan.
All right. Thunder fans, thanks so much. This is the Daily Thunder Podcast. If you like this podcast and other Daily Thunder content, please consider supporting us on our Patreon page. For just $5 a month, you get access to our morning roundups of Thunder news, notes, and commentary. It all gets sent to your email automatically, along with our jam-packed weekend edition newsletter that has exclusive and early release content. For $6 or more a month, you qualify for things like free t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, and special live event passes. For more information, visit patreon.com/dailythunder. Thank you for listening to this podcast and for supporting Daily Thunder.